Welcome back to the LionHeart podcast, where we learn to have the heart of a lion in this jungle we call life. If you're a returning listener and you're listening again, I appreciate you for tuning back in. I know it's been a hot minute since the last one dropped, and if this is your first time listening, then welcome. Welcome to the LionHeart podcast. So today, as you already see by the title, is something that I've realized within the past about a month and a half that I actually overheard someone else talking about, and it made me think a lot about it. But as you can already see by the title of this podcast, you'll obtain happiness when you stop searching for it. So that might seem counterintuitive. It's like if you want to find happiness, then you would need to search for it. You need to try to find it, right? That's what most people would always have in their mind. If you want to find happiness, you got to always be on the lookout for it and see what is it that makes you happy. But I've realized in life, that's actually not how it works. The times actually that you're looking for happiness are usually the times when you're the most depressed and the most down. When you see the people that are usually always thinking, man, I just want to be happy. You think about that statement. Usually that statement means they are in a very unhappy place and they're in a very down place. So when you're searching for happiness actively, searching for something in a physical form or something that you can do that will make you happy, for the most part, you won't be able to find it. So we have to understand, then how is it that we can find happiness, right? If we can't find it by directly searching for it, because we've seen so many people try to do that, whether they try to chase money or they chase after the vices that they may have in their life, trying to search for some kind of happiness, we see that trying to search for happiness itself usually leads to being depressed and down all the time. So we need to figure out, what is it that does make somebody happy? What is it that somebody can do to actually feel fulfilled in life and not feel down all the time and feel always like crap, right? Because at the end of the day, everybody does want to be happy. It's not like I'm saying that happiness is not something you should try to attain and that you should be miserable your whole entire life. No. But the fact of the matter is if you're trying to search for happiness actively, you will not find it in that way. So you have to figure out in your life, how is it that you can attain that fulfillment, that happiness, without directly searching for it, because it doesn't work. So what I've come to realize is that actually life is about being anti-fragile, right? So we know about fragile people. Fragile people are people that are able to be broken down very easily. Life is able to put them in a bad situation very easily. Anti-fragile is about figuring out how to live life without being broken down easily. Because if you allow things to happen, if you allow the things that happen in your life to break you down easily, then you're not going to make it very far. Because like I've said before, life is not easy. It's not meant to be easy. That's why the sayings that come out, like survival of the fittest, these type of things are true, man. Like, life is not easy, and it's the ones who are able to overcome the difficult and hard times that are able to make it far in this life. That's just the fact of the matter. That's the way it's always been. Look at the animal kingdom. You see animals and we sometimes think like, oh man, they're so beautiful. Like, oh man, look at these animals. They're so majestic. But you look at the food chain among these animals and it is brutal. Brutal. I was just watching one of the Planet Earth things the other day, and man, you see that these animals, the predators, they go after the young. They go after the small ones. Why? Because they can't defend themselves. That's just the way that everything is. That's the way that God made it. So you have to make sure that you are anti-fragile. You can't be broken down easily in this life, because the people who are broken down easily, you will not be able to make it that far. So it's important to figure out and learn not to be fragile and not to be weak. Because the truth of the matter is if you are weak, it's going to be very difficult to do anything in this life that preys on the weak. So that brings us back to the point that when you search for happiness, you will not find it. But when you figure out something to pursue in life, something to have a purpose around in life, then that happiness will come indirectly. So let me explain what I mean by this. You always, like I said, the people who are searching for a physical form of happiness or something to make them happy are usually the most unhappy people. But the people who are usually the happiest are the ones who find something to drive at in life. So you look at people, I've mentioned him before because it's somebody I look up to, but you look at somebody like Kevin Hart. That dude is busy all the time. He's always on a time grind. He's doing a whole bunch of stuff. He has a whole bunch of businesses at the same time. Many people would see that as a very miserable kind of life because people always look at the money and all the fame that he has and everything, and they think, oh man, that must be an amazing life, but they don't see all the work that is put in behind that. And that's the problem. People only look at the outside without realizing what actually goes on behind the scenes. But even within all that, having all that work, all those businesses to run, and all that behind the scenes work that he does, you hear him say it in podcasts and interviews, he's the happiest he can be because he has his family around him. He's doing what he loves, even though puts himself in very difficult situations and very tough businesses that he opens. He's happy. Why? Because he found a purpose within his life. He has a drive towards something. He's not directly searching for happiness, but because of what he's doing and the purpose of which he's driving himself towards, he naturally has it. It indirectly comes to him through that. That's exactly my point. If you search for happiness directly, you most likely will not find it. But if you find something to drive at in life, something to have a purpose behind, something that you're able to do, whatever it may be, then happiness will come to you indirectly because you'll feel like you're actually doing something. You'll feel like you have a purpose in life. That is one of the most important things to be able to find. Figure out what is it that drives you? What is it that will make you happy doing? Because you're not going to find it. Like, if you take the easy way out of everything, then you will never find that happiness. So many people, they don't want to, even like the simple things, they don't want to work. Why? Because they want to avoid that temporary pain. But actually, that's not how life works. You have to endure the pain. That's why I said you have to be anti-fragile. You have to be willing to endure the pain in order to be able to receive the fulfillment at the end of it. Like I said, I believe I said it in one of the other podcasts, but there is a paywall behind. There's a paywall in front of happiness. You have to be willing to pay something up front in order to be able to receive that. So, like I was saying, some people don't even want to get simple things such as jobs, even though they know that they should. But why? Because they're trying to avoid that temporary pain. But what does that do in the end? In the end, it drives them crazy. Why? Because they know they're not doing what they need to do. When you know you have something to do, but you keep putting it off to the side and procrastinating and pushing it, then at the end of the day, it makes you nervous. It makes you stressed out. You're always worried about that. I know I had a big issue with this in school. That's what I did every single time. I had work that I needed to do. I would have a whole entire project, and I would sit there and just procrastinate and push it off until the very last night. And then I'm stressing myself out trying to get it done. And then I do a terrible job because I waited till the very end. My point is, many people have a tendency of putting off that temporary pain to have temporary comfort. But at the end of the day, that brings a lot worse results than if you were just to take the temporary pain in the first place. So it takes mental strength to understand this concept and put it into practice. Why? Because so many people want to find an easy route in life to be able to find happiness. People want to just find something easy to be able to make them happy. That's why some people look at people with money and they automatically think, what did that guy have to do that? People automatically have this bad mentality towards all these things. Why? Because they want the easy route to be able to receive it. But at the end of the day, that's just not how life works. You have to be willing to endure the temporary pain. And everybody, like I've said over and over again, has a different purpose. They have a different drive that makes them happy, that will make them happy in the end. Everybody has something different that they want to do. You have some people who love fitness. That's the thing that they want to do and makes them happy. And when they're training other people or when they're doing things revolved around fitness, they are the most happy in that environment. There's some people, it's within church. When they're within a church environment and they have things that they are doing within that makes them the most happy. That brings them that fulfillment that they're looking for. Some people is being an entrepreneur. They love the fact, they like the feeling of having a business, something that they have to run and something that they could be the CEO over. Everybody has something different that will drive them towards their purpose and towards that fulfillment and towards that happiness in the end. So you need to figure out what is that for you. And it could be multiple things. It doesn't have to just be one thing. But you need to figure out what is it that it's going to be for you. But you also have to realize that you're going to have to take that step, that leap forward into the temporary discomfort in order to be able to reach that fulfillment. Because if you just sit around doing absolutely nothing and not taking action towards anything, you will never find that fulfillment and that happiness that you so eagerly want. You have to be willing to take steps into uncomfortable places and put yourself into situations where you may not feel great. But in the end, it'll be worth it because you go past that paywall and you find that fulfillment, you find that drive. So it's up to everybody to figure out what is that for them. Many people don't want to accept this fact, and like I said, they want to just make everything nice and easy. They want to just make an easy path for everybody. But the fact of the matter is that doesn't work. From the beginning and to this very point in time right now, there's always been people who are at the top and there's always been people that are at the bottom. Why? Because the people at the top are willing to put in the work while the people on the bottom are not. So it all comes down to that. If you want happiness, figure out something that's going to bring you the fulfillment to make you happy. Especially as a man, responsibility, something to be responsible over, is usually what will bring a man fulfillment. With women too, with specific things, right? With many things. Men and women could do a lot of the same things, but for the most part, men and women are different in the end of the day. So there's different fulfillment that's brought between the two of them. But my point is, usually having something that you're responsible over is what's going to bring you the most fulfillment. That's why so many men like to be able to own businesses, or when it comes to like sports, these kind of things. They want to be able to have responsibility. They want to be able to put work into something. But if you're not putting that effort towards anything, then you're never going to find that fulfillment. You're never going to find that happiness. You have to figure out what is it that you could put your efforts toward. Like I said, everybody has a different thing that makes them happy. Some people might just be talking. If talking is what makes you happy and talking to people and all that stuff, then figure out a way to be able to turn that into something. It's up to you to figure that out. So once you figure out what drives you, then you got to be willing, like I said, to go through the discomfort that you're going to feel, because you're not always going to be in great situations where everything feels nice and dandy all the time. No, you're going to be put in many situations where you are very uncomfortable and it is painful going through those situations. But those are the things that are going to toughen you up. Those are the things that are going to make you anti-fragile. Those are the things that are going to be what you overcome to receive that fulfillment, to find that happiness. You got to be willing to take the price up front in order to find the happiness. It's just like how it is with money. You have to pay for things. Happiness is very expensive. You got to be willing to pay a lot for it. But once you do it, then you will thank yourself in the long run thinking, thank goodness I took the leap of faith and I did what I need to do. Because the last thing that you want to do is get to the end of your life and think, shoot, if I just would have taken that chance, if I just would have done that thing, if I would have just done this and realized that it didn't really matter that much in the long run. If I would have just done this and realized how much it might have changed the trajectory of my life up until this point. That is not what you want to be thinking at the end of your life. So realize that things may seem like such a huge deal right now. When something embarrassing happens, the day that it happens, it seems like the biggest deal ever. A week from then, it's a pretty big deal still. It's a week ago. A month from then, oh, I'm kind of forgetting about it. A year from then, oh, I completely forgot about that. As time goes on, things start mattering less and less. So stop worrying so much about right now, because in the long run, right now is just going to be into the whole grand scheme of things. So take chances, take those risks, do what you got to do to find that fulfillment. Because at the end of the day, if, like I said before, if you're just searching for a physical form of happiness, you're going to probably end up very unhappy. Happens all the time. We see it with celebrities. We see it with the people around us, most likely. It might even be me or you. But you gotta recognize the only way to get out of those situations and to really find happiness is to figure out something that drives you and something that you can do in order to find that fulfillment. So stop procrastinating. Stop looking towards something else or someone else to give you that happiness. And figure out what is it that you can do, something that you can put your drive towards to be able to bring that fulfillment, to bring that happiness. Because that also brings up the point that people also look towards other things. They try to find something else that'll bring them happiness. They try to find someone else who will bring them happiness. And then they get in unhealthy relationships because they're trying to find a happiness that that other person can't bring them. So realize, what is it that you want to do? What is it that drives you? What is it that's going to bring you fulfillment? And go full force into that thing. Don't hesitate any longer. So many people, even right now, that may be listening to this, are hesitating, not taking the risk, not taking the leap of faith, not taking the jump that they need to in order to get to the next level. If you are that person, as I have been plenty of times, even now to this very day, that I'm forcing myself to stop doing that and take the leap of faith, then take that leap. Stop procrastinating, stop hesitating, because like I said, in the grand scheme of things, what you do right now is not going to matter much 10 years from now, 20 years from now, unless what you did right now is something that will impact that point in time. But as far as little things, little screw ups or little mess ups and stuff, it's not going to matter that far away from time. So start looking at it from that perspective. Start realizing, in the grand scheme of things, this isn't going to matter much. So why am I stressing and worrying about this so much as if this is my death sentence if I get this wrong? Change your mentality and realize that you have room to make mistakes. You have room to grow. But the thing is, you have to grow. Don't stay stagnant and don't just keep hiding off in a corner, not doing what it is that you know that you need to do. Because inwardly, almost every single one of us, unless you just haven't figured it out yet, know kind of what we want to do and something that we want to do. But most of the time, we're really scared to start it and we never actually do it. Figure out that thing for you and push. Like I said, go through that paywall, because at the end of the day, when you take action towards that thing that drives you every single day and you find that passion of yours, then when you're fulfilling that dream, that hope, that passion, you will finally find that happiness that you're searching for in your heart. That's all I got for you guys today. If you guys like the podcast, please make sure you like, share, subscribe. I got the podcast on Spotify. There's Apple Podcasts on YouTube. And sorry if this one was a little bit like all over the place, but getting back into the swing of things. Right now it's a little bit later at night. I couldn't fall asleep right now, so I was like, you know what, let me record a podcast. I finally got the mic cord and everything that I need to be able to do this, so let me start pushing these things out, because these are things that I think about all the time, and I think it'd be great. It helps me to be able to speak it out onto something, because when I'm saying all these things, I'm not only talking to you guys, right? I'm also talking to myself, because these are all the thoughts that I have towards myself for the most part, that I'm always thinking that I gotta fix. So yeah, this one's coming out most likely. This is probably Tuesday or Wednesday. We'll see. But my plan is to start pushing these out every Monday. That's the goal. So I know I've had some long hiatuses between the episodes so far. It's been kind of hectic. I've been all over the place right now. I just moved to Salt Lake about like a month and a half ago, and I've been to every state around that for work right now. So I've been super busy and doing a lot of things. But my goal is to get a lot more consistent with these because, like I said, it doesn't only, I'm hoping that it helps you guys that are listening, but it also helps me as well. Speaking this out into a platform and pushing it back into myself as well. So, yeah, I appreciate you guys for tuning in. Like I said, if you guys are returning listeners, I really appreciate you guys tuning back into the episodes. If this is your first time, then make sure you check out the other episodes that I have. This podcast is all about becoming the best versions of ourselves, having the lion heart, the heart of a lion, right? The king of the jungle. So, yeah, man, that's all I have right now. I'll see you guys next week. Peace.